Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. So I want to talk to you today about ego death, because when you go into a relationship with a narcissist, you start out a certain person. When you're finished with them, you are completely taken down. The empath is most definitely resilient. When a narcissist comes into your life, they pull you down into your ego. So in your love bomb phase, they pull you into your fleshly self wholeheartedly. That's why you have a hard time getting to God. The narcissist pulls everything down when they come into your life. That's why I call them the destroyer, because they pull you down spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, health-wise, and relationships. They pull everything down, all 6 of those categories. Anything in life is going to probably be connected to one of those 6 things. And they pull them all down, y'all. Because they come to destroy. When they take you down after cycle number 1, a lot of times between cycle 1 and cycle 2, you get into your ego self. You're not done yet. You haven't learned yet. Things haven't dawned on you enough, and you haven't been defeated hard enough. Because we're resilient, and we know this from growing up in the narcissistic family, we have a passion for doing things right. This is where we have God's favor. So you can look at the empath growing up, or the black sheep growing up in the narcissistic family who doesn't get corrupted to that degree, or to that, on that end, they're the other side of the spectrum. He likes people who are hot or cold, right? Because that way they're passionate about either their evil or their goodness and their godliness. It's those people that ride the fence that he said he would spew out of his mouth, because there's nothing worse sometimes than an individual that rides the fence. Sometimes can be more of the wolf in sheep's clothing, the one that rides the fence because you think they're your friend and they're your enemy. Or they gossip and backbite a lot when you're not around. And they'll do it on both sides. That's why a lot of people would say that they give more respect to the overt narcissist than the covert. Because the overt narcissist is just out there in front, and you know there's somebody you don't like. They're pompous about it and they're open about it. But when it comes to the covert narcissist, they're like the wolf in sheep's clothing. They're the ones they're totally riding the fence. Some aspects they're riding the fence. I think we can all agree on that. And it's like they want to be a good person, but they want to do good and evil at the same time. And you can't do that. What happens is God throws you into the evil. And we were more of we would be kind of like what's considered the overt narcissist. We'd be the flip from them to some degree. So we're kind of the flip from them, so to speak, right? This is the problem. Here's where the problem comes in. This is really good. This is coming to me. So what the overt narcissist is, we can respect to some degree because we know they're just straight up evil. Where the covert narcissist, we don't have any respect for because they're like the wolf in sheep's clothing. They come and they put all of their stuff is fake. And you let them into your closest circle, and then they destroy you from the inside out. Where we are is we're the other side of the spectrum from the overt narcissist to some degree. But when the narcissist comes into our life, they pull us to the middle as well, because they need somebody to enable them. So that means that you're both kind of cloaked as sheep, but they're a wolf and you're enabling the wolf with your sheep energy. This is good, y'all. You ain't getting this on no other channel. They're the wolf. Just picture a half an animal mixing with another half an animal. So they're the wolf, total wolf, mixing with a total sheep. And they become like a wolf and a sheep, half and half. They're kind of like riding the fence, and they need an enabler that will protect them, cover them with their energy, so they can go out and destroy as a wolf in sheep's clothing, including the empath that they're with getting supplied from. And that's what happens. But we have the ability to waver to the middle. And because of that, we have the penalty to pay as somewhat of the wolf in sheep's clothing. But we get it too. Now, I'm just using some analogies here, but I think you can follow me, because the weaknesses are the same as far as, and the evil becomes very similar. And that's what I'm trying to get at. And this is just coming to me. I didn't plan on talking about this at all, really. So maybe it's meant to be right now, but it makes sense. So you get drawn down into the middle, but you might have been over here as a good individual, but your boundaries were light. They were able to be seduced very easily into the middle. And a lot of times it happens out of lust. It doesn't have to be lust for intercourse, it could be anything, but lust is what drives this world system. And so it was something lustful that the narcissist drew you into the middle. And then they use you. They get cloaked in your fuel, your energy. They go out and destroy, and you continue to enable them. Now, that's why I say that the enabler is almost just as terrible as the covert narcissist. You end up very similar. You end up tearing down all of your boundaries and all of your goodness just to have them in your life, apply them to what we would consider or call try to help them. At some point, it's not help. It is a dependency. And it is somewhat of you're out of your spirit man completely. You're into this, you're thinking more of a lustful nature or a fleshly nature. And that's not good. And part of that is because you got spellbound and allowed covenants to occur, contracts to occur, and consents. That's where we didn't value things important enough. We were seduced. We had the ability to be seduced to where some of these other good individuals up here that are really good individuals and they're non-wavering, for whatever reason, they could have grew up in different kinds of families that were better than ours. We have destiny, and God knows our innate spirits, all of ours. And he knows what we can and cannot handle. He knows where we need to be to learn and to grow. So for us, probably the best thing that could have happened to us to save our soul and to make us, to grow us into who we need to become, to be fervent with him. For us, we love hard, but we also know how to feel the pain and the emotions and sometimes some of the instabilities and some of the feelings of others that we take on for ourselves before we realize we need to make changes in our life. And that's when I'll just talk for myself. That's when I decided that, I needed boundaries, y'all, good ones that are non-wavering. And I can't do this anymore. I am not doing this anymore. I've done this with 3 individuals in my life, and 2 of which were kind of, long-term. And so at a certain point or precipice or pinnacle or time or line of demarcation that I had drawn in the sand that I am not going to go over this side anymore. I'm not going to waver anymore. And it forces you all the way over here. Like these other individuals that have the goodness that refuse to drop their boundaries for anybody because they know what's right, they know what's wrong, they know it's the best for them. After the first cycle with a narcissist, especially after having several, they keep coming stronger. The enemy keeps coming with stronger individuals to take you down. Because if the last borderline couldn't take you down, then he's going to send a narcissist, and maybe a lesser, maybe a mid-range. Then you get into the psychopathies. And that's what happened to me. At that point, I got shook awoke. Hey, if you push the note enough, the Lord will shake you awake. And the betrayal will be so bad. It'll be evil, y'all. You don't want to have to do all that. But for some of us, it's necessary because we're in a fallen world. So we're going to be innate spirits that come into this world, and we're going to be different types of individuals. I don't know if you can be evil right from birth. I believe it's possible, but at least shortly thereafter, they had evil in their hearts and they just went wayward, bam. Or there were people that had goodness in their hearts and they just went straight goodness and godliness, bam. But then there's those people in the middle, and God gives us opportunities to separate ourselves before he is forced to step in and separate us because we didn't choose. Wow, that's good. It's kind of like they're on the other end of the spectrum. It's kind of weird too, because I guess you can get to thinking, is the narcissist like awoke on the complete other side of the spectrum to where you're seeing them like they are, they just are who they are, whatever. Anyway, regardless of that, what you were to the narcissist were an option. What you learned from this last situation with the narcissist where it forced you to awaken to what was going on with narcissism was, regardless of what happened, at some point you realized that you were just an option to them because you triangulated so much and so often. It's almost on a weekly basis. They're going to triangulate you constantly. And if you're unawoke to it, you end up feeling like an option, and that's what you become. You're a choice to them. Being just an option is with no value. You can have me if you work really, really hard. That's the idea you get at some point, right? They come and they're infatuated, but shortly after, they get bored or whatever, you slight them, you become an option, and you get in your head that you need to chase them. Because if you work harder, you can show them that you're better than these other people. And that's what they want you to do. That's part of the spell, y'all. They want you to chase them after they discard you. And that's what you do. Typically after at least the first cycle, you're most definitely doing that. And you're doing it in your ego, because you would never do that in your spirit man space. So in your ego, you feel like you have something to prove to them, or they have you misunderstood. Like they have some sort of mental disorder, a blockage. This is how you feel. I'm just going to tell you, because I've been there several times. You feel like you have this, they have this mental issue or blockage, and you keep trying to explain, show them, tell them, whatever, and discuss things with them, and you can't get them on your level because they're not vulnerable and they don't have the fruits of the spirit. But this is not stuff that's defined for you yet. So you're trying to constantly get them to understand that you're not like whatever they're projecting onto you that they're telling you you are. So when they discard you, you feel like, well, especially if they go with a downgrade supply, but you feel like that you need to show them who you are. So in your ego, you start performing as well. I mean, you might as well call it that. You're chasing them, and they love it because then they can triangulate you, and that's what they do, right? It's all part of the game they play. And then you just run, where you're running faster and faster, and you're getting less and less results, y'all. You do that, and then the harder you try, the worse they treat you. That's why we always say to stop and go no contact, period. Because you will devalue and degrade yourself for every moment in time that you spend after discard, that you chase them. And it's not that you're trying to get your value back from them, but it's to help you break free from that spell and to not allow yourself to get drawn in deeper and further down and degraded more. Because the more you get degraded and devalued, and you allow that by the chase, you get weaker. You have more problems in your life. You have more health issues, everything, the longer you do this stuff, and you don't understand. And it causes a lot of heavy, heavy burdens in your life. These are the brutal truths of it. It says to guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it are the issues of life, y'all. And when you do things like that, you don't value yourself enough. But what happens is you awaken, you decide that you are not going to be someone's choice, period. That you know that in 6 months from the time of that relationship ending and they come back for cycle 2, it's going to happen all over again and again and again. And that's how cycles occurs, because you become an option, a choice to them. And that's where they put you. And that's what you accept, because the longer you're with a narcissist, the lower your boundaries go to a point to where they don't exist at all. And that's why you look and you're as miserable, and you act and emulate the same values and energy as the narcissist over time, because at some point too, you do get on their energetic level. And if you do it long enough, you're going to look just like them. We realize that we are not an option. We are not a choice. So we start to back away from this. This could take several cycles before this hits you. Usually you go all the way down to the ground, and at some point you've had enough, and you've done enough cycles to where you're done. And then maybe the Lord will lead you to Googling some of these symptoms of this individual, and you find out narcissism. That's what happened to me. Why the narcissist comes to you is because you're heavy in the emotional field of things. So you have the ability to do a lot of great things. Because if you can understand the emotional field and you can guard it and control it, as far as guarding your heart with all diligence, that is guarding your energy, knowing where it is being directed, because you're directing it there, not because it's seeping out of you and being stolen out from under you, or because you're blindly consenting to it being taken and flipping energy with somebody, that sort of thing. This is all spiritual warfare. Because you understand the emotional field so well, you have the ability to know how people feel. You know how to treat an individual. See, the narcissist seduces you and casts spells on you. Because you grew up in these families and stuff, you consent to it and you don't really know exactly what you're doing. But when you wake up to it, listen, so the enemy is coming to you because you have the ability to be a powerful creature on this earth for God. If you can understand how to control your emotions, because you can understand individuals and you can have a deeper level with God. You know, trauma and pain from growing up in these families can do one of two things. You can either feel nothing, like the narcissist, or you have the ability to feel everything or understand it all, as far as on the emotional level. And this is kind of what happened. It kind of forces us to go extra special one way or the other, to to some degree, you might as well say. You have the ability to transmute, just like they do. From the other side of the spectrum, they manipulate. They give up on all of these sensitive things, and they go the route of being cold. Before we wake up to this, we have everybody sucking off of us, stealing our fuel without us knowing. We're consenting to things unconsciously, not knowing. We're being spellbound. We're being dragged here and there, and we think we're helping individuals, and we're not. We're getting robbed from our birthright. But in a sense, we're allowing it. We're consenting to it by verbal agreements, nonverbal agreements, written agreements sometimes if you do loans for people. But you also do it when you go into relationships and friendships with individuals that steal it out from under you, and you allow it. And you allow to take on their energy and to give them yours. These are unconscious consents. Because we did that, they take our energy and transmute it for evil. That's why we pay so many consequences in our reaping until we wake up. But I'm saying after we wake up, we can transmute that energy because now we can help people that truly need it and decipher between the real and the fake. And not decide not to help this individual, to where regular people out there, they don't have necessarily that ability, and the unawoken path doesn't either. So we do have a special talent, but we can help the right people is what I'm saying, and not throw all of our pearls among swine like we did before we were awoke. You start to have some sort of a new birth to some degree, and you realize that the whole time, your whole life, you've been cut from a different cloth, and you knew this because you didn't fit in. You never fit in when you're this black sheep empath, and we're fighters. That's where we're cut from a different cloth, because it's almost like we weren't given very many tools. And a lot of times the tools we were given from our family were deceptive. And then our love partner came in and gave us deceptive tools and information, gave us deceptive advice. You realize that you were cut from a different cloth, and you were cut from a different cloth because God had you, and he knew what was going to happen. He knows everything. So with that being said, he was protecting you, and he was keeping you hidden. And you got to look at it like you were in the trenches, and you were dealing with stuff that you were going to understand later. You were being forged. So you kind of shift your focus and refocus. You put the ego to death, and you get back into your spirit man. And you start to realize exactly what's going on. You were playing checkers with somebody who was playing chess with you, unbeknownst to you. You were going to be going into some sort of war or battle. It would be nice if you could at least let me know that I'm in a battle. And that's why a lot of times we think the narcissist is so amazing and so powerful. Because when they came into your life, it was already understood to them they were in a battle with you, and you were trying to love them. Now, when you awaken, you know it's a battle. And that's when you go on, you put your armor on, you step back, you put your checkers down, and you pick up those chess pieces. The king, the queen, the bishops, the rook, the horse, and you send your soldiers out. Like, okay, oh, you've been playing with me like that? Okay. I know how to play chess, y'all. I didn't know we were playing chess. I thought we were playing the love game and a little blockage in your head. But now I get it. And that's what happens. So now you end up, okay, now you want to play chess. Okay, let's play chess then. And they don't like that, because now you start to build those boundaries up. You start to tell them who they are, and they run away, or they rage out because they can't handle it. You know what's awesome about you is you make people feel good about when they're around you. You're able to lift people up. When they're sad, you can turn that sadness to a smile, y'all. That's a gift. That's a talent. You're willing to be hurt a lot sometimes so that you can be free, because freedom is everything. What happens is you start to kind of spend time alone. Now that you understand that your childhood, you're able to kind of go inside and start spend time alone and really assess everything. You kind of isolate. It's kind of typical. And you level up. You come out that fire, y'all. And you got your pump on for real. If you can learn quick enough to not be bothered by people and not give them anything, especially the narcissist, and just do you. And when you do you, that's when you level up several times over. You change. Your stature changes. You don't care what people think. Now, you're not going to treat anybody differently or bad, but you don't care what they think when it's not necessary. You don't switch energy with nobody. You stay close to your frame. You have firm boundaries, and you stick to them, and you're building your life with the Lord first. Your whole life, you could be 40 or almost 50, and most of your life, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Your family, your parents, your family members were all checked out emotionally, never made sense. They would make all these stupid decisions that didn't have any common sense to them or on in this type of a family. You always thought it was nonsense, right? And you didn't fit in with them. And then you have this love partner comes to you, you don't fit in with them and they're using and abusing you. So you're trying to like, and it's a different kind of energy because it goes from the family narcissism to the love partner narcissism. And then you have friends narcissism, coworkers narcissism. And it's like, they're all different energies. I mean, they're all a little different. So you have to, when you wake up to it, you have to be extra cautious in all of these. See, I mean, when it comes to, I'm saying when you first wake up to this, it's easy after a year of this to know the red flags of a narcissistic love partner. Or, but then you, for me, I started to realize like the family dynamic in narcissism. So, you know, you're enmeshed with them. So it's a little harder, sometimes a little different. It's different. But then you have people at work and then you have friends that you have. So you gotta, but they're all different because this one's your lover. This is your family members. This is your worker and this is your friend, you know, so they're different types of ways they come at you. That's my point. They come at you categorically differently. Why people come to you is because they know you're powerful, you're fuel. Like I said, you have the ability, if you are directing it with boundaries and understanding how people can send you and take it and flip with you, and you understand how to control that, it brings a lot. It produces a lot. And that's why the narcissist comes to you, because they're hollow and empty, but they also use it to transmute into evil, to destroy. And you just didn't know who you were. You didn't know your value. And once you understand your value and you walk in the stature of your value, then the individual that was fighting with you, they're really no match for you. Because the only way they were defeating you and destroying you and overpowering you and controlling you is because you consented and you didn't know yourself. But even a lot of times people will awaken to narcissism, but still walk in that inferiority complex. So that's why you have to put the work in. You have to go back and try to understand your childhood. It should make a lot more sense, but you got to kind of spend some time just dwelling on that stuff alone without distractions. These are ways that you get healing. And a lot of times you accept whatever happened, you make amends with it. You understand when you meditate on these things. You don't have to do it forever, but at least go through it once, because sometimes you blocked it out. So you have unhealed wounds. Does that make sense? It's kind of like having unforgiveness and having that stuff gets locked up in you. So I don't know if you've ever been into a situation where you freeze because it's so stressful and so traumatic. That stuff gets locked up in your body. That's why deep tissue massages are good, to get that out. Sometimes you'll cry when somebody is doing a deep tissue massage because you have feelings locked up in your body. But also what's locked up in your body is, or in your mind, or in your spirit, is some of this trauma that occurred to you. You may not know about, but it exists, but you blocked it out. And that's why the enemy sends all these distractions all day long around you. You work all day, you come home, you got to do this, do that, do this, watch TV. You're always distracted, and then you go to bed and you do it all over again, right? Because he doesn't want you to meditate. And if you're in fight or flight, for instance, walking in that, always got to do this, got to do that. That's kind of like fight or flight. It will get you to bring that down. You start to realize who you are, and you put in serious work for serious change. You become stronger and you get results. You become miles away from the individual that was playing chess with you while you were playing checkers with them. When you start to get your chess game up, it looks to you like they playing checkers now. They ain't a match for you. That's why they run away. But usually what'll happen is that last narcissist that was with you, that you woke up to, that's the one that will try to come back. The others probably wouldn't dare to. But that one will. And a lot of times it's because you've leveled up so hard on them. And they have a tough time with that. So they have a lot of jealousy issues. They have the inability to have control over you anymore. And that's huge. That's a big problem with them. So they come to try to get back in, to creep back in. And that's why you got to put them down, y'all. You get to a point to where you don't care if somebody comes or goes, because you know who you are. You're all good. You know what path you're on, and you know your boundaries. If you ain't with my boundaries, then you can get to step in, y'all, right? Basically what you do is, if you're looking at the world like this, it's almost like you shifted and the whole world looks different to you now, because now you're not over here, but you shifted it. You shifted. It's almost like you went to a different dimension or something. Your whole world changed if you wake up to narcissism and you shift a little. You will look at the whole world differently, but you will also work harder and you'll be more fervent than even you were before, but you'll be getting results because you'll be working in precision. And when they come back and you put them down or whatever, they don't know who you are. That's the problem. They don't know who they are dealing with. They still think they're dealing with that old original individual that they seduced in cycle number 1, and you ain't that no more. A lot of times they would stalk you before to see if you were completely destroyed. If you've healed up a little to some degree, they will come back and put you down again harder, right? And they will suck all that fuel off you again. Now, when you wake up, you could end up, like I said, walking in that inferiority complex, depending on, how you're going to change your mind, because that's what it is. You have to come to understanding, knowledge, and wisdom, the right understanding, knowledge, and wisdom, and then walk in it, in your faith. And you have to have hope. If you don't do that, then you may be susceptible to going back to the narcissist. If you grow and continue to grow and continue to sharpen up your chess game, the narcissist will stalk you later in awe because you ain't taking nobody's bullshit no more. They're not messing with an ordinary person anymore. Then they get jealous. They have pain. The abandonment comes up heavy. They rage. They have curiosity, sadness, regret, and depression. At some point, they will have a narcissist injury and a collapse from what they've done to you. At some point, you will probably never know it. They may admire you from afar, but they will definitely have regret for the way that they handle things. At some point in time, they will. And it will give them heavy depression. You will be their bar. You will be the highest valued target they've ever had. And they treated you badly. You woke up and you advanced and leveled up 10 times over. And it was a lot of times because you didn't know who you were. And that trauma and betrayal woke you up, and it changed you. It brought you to a place so low that you seek healing heavy. And this is where your blessings that were stolen out from under you, your whole birthright that was stolen out from under you, begins to come back to you heavy. It's almost as if the harder that they pressed on you, if you wake up and you operate correctly, the harder they hammered on you in the past, that's how hard you're going to work in the future into your fruition. And that stuff's going to come back. So your blessings are going to come back so heavy. Because with certain individuals, that pain and that trauma, when they wake up to it, it just forces you to awaken and to become stronger and stronger. It's like, you can't kill me. You become just relentless in your pursuit of who you are and the truth that's in you. I'm going to stop there. But if you can give me a like, subscription, and thumbs up. Until next time, y'all. Soldier, peace be out.